Okay, so basically what we're under the, we have to infer, we have to speculate that for whatever reason, the moon is not presenting as a sphere does, that it's presenting as though it were a plate or an image behind which there was a giant light, so that it was at the same level of light all the way out to the edge as it is in the middle. And so we know that whatever the moon is, it is not the sphere that is presented to us. Okay, now that takes us off on some really interesting thoughts, okay? There's a book by George Leonard from like the 60s or 70s, and it's called The Men in the Moon, or There's People in the Moon, or The Moon is Inhabited, or something along those lines. And he goes through all of the facts, how the moon is exactly positioned in order to give us the eclipse effect, how it is not what as it's presented. So Earth is about 8,000 miles in diameter. The moon presents as 2,000 miles in diameter. So, but at that ratio, it should have about 1/16 the mass of Earth. You know, but okay, but it has barely over 1%. So we know the moon is hollow. And we know that the moon is very likely a rigid structure surrounded with a skin upon which is piled all this loose material that we think of as the grit, the dirt and the dust and stuff on the moon, right? Mm. Okay, so people have known about this being a hollow moon and a artificial object for many, many, many decades. If you go to Yandex and you look in Yandex for the Russian, and you do it in Russian, you'll find that there's Russian literature going back to discussions of this in detail back as far as 1911, about the moon being not as it presents itself. Mm-hmm. And then they were talking about, in 1911, the previous decades, 3 decades maybe, observations of the moon with telescopes in Russia, in which they noticed atmosphere and they noticed condensed water on the surface as well as green areas. So, and then now all of it's all gone. It's all black and white now. And that change takes place around 1911.